Note to MAGA and the white supremacist and extremist among you. If you're filing a lawsuit, a manufactured one, in order to get hundreds of millions of dollars out of a willing Donald Trump because you led the Proud Boys and violently attacked the United States Capitol, you may not want to hire a fellow felon who was convicted, although a lawyer, who was convicted of crimes related to the Charlottesville, Virginia, Unite the Right, Unite the White rally that led to the death of a paralegal. And if you're just recently a felon, you may not think you're going to be able to get through past a magistrate judge in Orlando to allow you to represent the Proud Boys in this manufactured suit. Do I have your attention now? I'm Michael Popok. Let's get into the Proud Boys suit and a guy by the name who likes to call himself Augustus Sol Invictus. Real name, Augustine Gillespie, who is a white supremacist, self-proclaimed, a pagan, a Holocaust denier, a Jan 6 denier, and likes to march around, not wearing a hood, but likes to march around with other violent white extremists in rallies where he's the featured speaker. And now he got caught by the judge and is being barred for now from representing the Proud Boys in the case, seeking over $100 million from you and me. You're on Legal AF. Take a moment, hit that subscribe button, and let's get into this case. A couple of days ago, there was the reporting that Enrique Tario, who used to hang out with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, you can look it up, who is a self-proclaimed white supremacist and extremist, if you will, who led the Proud Boys, who was convicted with the leadership of the Proud Boys, along with the leadership of the Oath Keepers, in a case presided over by Judge Mehta in Washington, in the highest count that the Department of Justice at the time was seeking, a seditious conspiracy sentenced to decades in prison. He always banked on his friendship with Donald Trump and that Donald Trump would bail him out literally if he ever got elected again. And so he was never contrite. He never apologized. He never accepted responsibility, and he got sentenced to jail. But he was one of the first ones out when Donald Trump came back into power, and he was partying at Mar-a-Lago within several weeks after that. He's also good friends with Roger Stone, who's a political operative dating back to Richard Nixon. That's one of Donald Trump's best friends that has this group of Proud Boys around him, or had him around him since 2016 as bodyguards. And this is you can tell, this is a Roger Stone concocted, manufactured lawsuit to try to get in while the eating's good and get money out of Donald Trump, meaning you're in my money. They just gave $5 million to Ashley Babbitt's family because she was stopped with a bullet from heading down the speaker's hallway to make her way to the inner sanctum on January 6th, where she certainly would have killed or maimed or worse elected officials if she got her hand on them, based on everything we know about her, including her military experience and what she was trying to do at the time. And that case, in which the officer was cleared and should really be commemorated with a statue or an award or a plaque, even though the government did nothing wrong and did everything right, the Department of Justice, along with Donald Trump, just gave her your and my $5 million to her family. Seeing that, the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys said, "Where's mine?" And so I'm sure they filed the suit after talking to people in the White House. Just my speculation here, but I think I'm really on target. And got the green light to file the suit, being told, if you file the suit, we'll pay you. This is not our money. They're playing with house money. They're playing with your and my money from our house. So the suit gets filed. We did a reporting about it, $100 million and all of that. If they pay that to Enrique Tario and the leaders of the Proud Boys, they'll do the same for the Oath Keepers. And what about the rest? What about the Republicans in MAGA hate reparations when it comes to Black Americans for slavery. But reparations for the Jan 6ers, sign me up. Sounds terrific. There was another suit that was filed in the last day I just did a hot take on, in which the leaders of the Metropolitan Police and Capitol Police are suing the architect of the Capitol in order to get a brass plaque that Congress awarded them, placed on the halls of Congress for what they did that day to support the defense of our democracy. So they got to sue to get a plaque, They don't get any gold medals. Remember what it was like to try to get gold medals out of Congress for any of these heroes. And now they're going to bend over backwards to pay these people money. Now, what's happened with the lawyer? Okay. So I see this name. It's very unique. Augustus Sol Invictus. I'm like, that's a phony name. Why do I know that name? I do a little sleuthing, a little research. Turns out he's an extremist. He was a featured speaker in the Unite the Right, Unite the White rally, right? When they were marching through the streets, chanting German phrases from Adolf Hitler. The Jews will not replace us, doing a lot of it in German with pitchforks instead of wearing, Nazi paraphernalia or white robes. They were wearing khakis and polo shirts, but masks. And somebody died. And there was a lot of mayhem at that rally. That was the rally that Donald Trump said, there are good people on both sides, right? On the side of the neo-Nazis and the side of the people like the paralegal who was run over by a car. And apparently Invictus, or I'll call him by his real name, Mr. Gillespie, was convicted of a crime. Had to report that to the bar, to the Florida bar and to the Middle District of Florida federal court, because you have to be admitted in each federal court in which you practice. The court said, I practice in, I'm admitted. If I'm not admitted at that moment, I move for a special admission. So he was, Invictus apparently, a member of the bar of Florida and of the Middle District, and filed the suit there thinking, oh, no problem. Except in January of 2025, as the magistrate judge figured it out, he got convicted of a felony, which he had to report to the bar, which he didn't do, and automatically disqualifies him from practicing here in Florida, to the Florida bar. Now, who knows? Could DeSantis put pressure on the Florida bar? Maybe. But this is the federal court. It's going to be very hard to put pressure on the federal court, which regulates itself from the president pulpit, to get them to let this guy in. So the magistrate judge issued an order to show cause that says, hey, I'll paraphrase, I was doing some research. Turns out you were convicted of a felony in January. You didn't report it. So I'm going to give you till the 26th of June to tell me why you can still practice in front of my courtroom. Otherwise, they're going to have to find a new lawyer. Again, this is a manufactured lawsuit, phony lawsuit, in order to get our hard-earned money. And this won't be the last of it. Watch the Department of Justice roll over into a fetal position. So there is no adversarial process here. That's why the judges have to be so protective, because this is not an adversarial proceeding. They're seeking an advisory opinion, which is against the law in federal jurisdiction. This is made up by the two parties. I assure you, the Department of Justice has signaled to Enrique Tario, file a suit, we'll pay you. So who's representing the American interests? There should be an intervener that comes into this case to represent you and me, because the United States of America is not going to defend our position. And I'll continue to follow it, including what happens to Mr. Gillespie Invictus here on Legal AF. You like this kind of reporting? Hit the subscribe button, signal that you do. It's all free. Come on over to the Substack for Legal AF. Subscribe there. And what else you can do? There's something else you can do. You can help us with the Legal AF podcast and help us get more audio downloads there. Different ways to help us. Until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.